Today we're going to discuss the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to recognize the Pythagorean triple and use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to justify a right triangle. So converse just means going backwards. We're working backwards. This time we have all the sides. We just want to know if it's a right triangle or not. So if I have the sides, we plug it in a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And if it's a true statement, then it's a right triangle. So if I have 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, that's 9 plus 16 equals 25. Yes. If I plug in numbers, and it's greater than, so then c is small. For example, 4 squared plus 6 squared is greater than 7 squared, so c is small. 16 plus 36 is greater than 49. That means the triangle is acute. If I plug in numbers, 3 squared plus 4 squared, and it's less than c squared, meaning c is bigger, it means it's an obtuse triangle. Pythagorean triples just means that we plug the numbers in and it does work. So whole numbers that satisfy the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, if we've got 3 sides, the biggest one is always the hypotenuse. So some examples of Pythagorean triples. The 3, 4, 5. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. The 5, 12, 13. 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. The 8, 15, 17. And the 7, 24, 25. Those are very common Pythagorean triples. Those are very common sides of a right triangle. So to prove it is, when the question says justify, you fill in the numbers for a squared, a, b, and c, and if it equals, then that's your proof that it's a right triangle. If it doesn't equal, that's your proof that it's not a right triangle. So we're going to look at these following sides to determine whether it's a right triangle and justify my answer. So my sides are 8, 15, 17. So we're going to plug it in. 8 squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. 64 plus 225 does equal 289. So yes, this part where it says 64 plus 225 equals 289, that's my justification. If I have 2, 6, 4, now notice that 6 is in the middle, but it's still the biggest number. So that is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to plug it in. 2 squared plus 4 squared equals 6 squared. 2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16 equals 36. No, it does not. So your justification is 4 plus 16 does not equal 36. Determine the following if the following sides of a triangle create a right triangle and justify. So if I put these 3 squares together to make a triangle, will it be a right triangle? Well, I'm going to plug it in and use my Pythagorean theorem. 7 squared plus 24 squared is equal to 25 squared. Yes, 49 plus 576 equals 625. In the second example, they already did the squaring for you. So in this red box, it says 9. So that's actually 3 squared. In this green box is 16, so that's 4 squared. And in the blue box is 36, so that's 6 squared. So does 3 squared plus 4 squared equal 6 squared? No, it does not. So it is not a right triangle. Let's try these. Are they right triangles? So here I've got a side of 6, a side of 7, a side of 3. 3 squared plus 6 squared equals 7 squared. Yes or no? No. Because 3 squared is 9. This one is not even squared. See how it's not a square? It's 6 by 4. So that is actually 24 boxes. And this one is 7 by 5, so that's 35. So it's not a right triangle. Even though it kind of looks like in the picture, these boxes are not square. All right, let's go over here. We got 13 on one side, 12 on one side, and 5 on one side. So remember, A and B doesn't matter. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared? Yes, it does. This is a right triangle. All right, over here they just gave us, again, the dimension, or the area, so I don't actually have to square it. I just see that the big one is 5, and we got 4, and we got 2. So no, 4 plus 16 does not equal 25. Over here, in this last one, it looks like we've got some triangles in here, and it's telling us that A has 8 triangles, B has 8 triangles, and C has 16 triangles. So remember, A plus B plus C. So yes, that is a right triangle. So give an example of a Pythagorean triple. The first easy one is the 3, 4, 5. What is Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared.